Good morning, everybody. So I just got back from Florida at like midnight last night. I went down there for my birthday. I was gonna vlog for a little bit, filmed a bunch of stuff on the way down there, and then once I was there, I just decided to spend more time hanging out with my friend and less time paying attention to my phone and filming things. So sorry that you're not all gonna get like a nice beach vlog thing, but it was a lot of fun and we worked a lot of stuff out and it was just a really nice, relaxing time overall. And I really enjoyed it, and it was definitely a great way to spend my birthday. But today I went to the library for a little bit and then it started storming, and then I just decided that I wanted to do basically a little bit of a library haul, a little bit of a what I got for my birthday. Spoiler alert, it's books. And just a little bit of a July TBR all rolled into one, since it's about that time of the month to do things like that anyway. So this is all gonna be mixed together. Some of these books I've had from the library for a little while, and ones that I've been planning on reading for a while, and some ones that I just thought sounded good. So we're gonna jump right on in. The first book is In the Hand of the Goddess by Tamara Pierce. Here it is up close. This is book 2 of the Song of the Lioness Quartet, which I have read before. These were my favorite books growing up. Tamara Pierce is one of my all-time favorite writers. I just finished reading her newest book about a week or two ago called Tempest and Slaughter. Absolutely loved it, and have since breezed through the Immortals Quartet, which I absolutely adored. I wanted to go back and read the very originals. So I finished the first book in like 4 hours, I think, because they're kind of short and really fast paced, which I really like. And the first one, which is called Alana, the First Story or whatever, it's about a girl who switches places with her twin brother, so she can learn to become a knight and he can learn to become a sorcerer. She becomes the first, or she wants to become the first lady knight in a very long time, and she has to go undercover as a boy to do it. And I remembered loving these so much as a kid, and going back and rereading them now, I love them even more because I didn't realize just how accepting and inclusive these books were until now. Like, these books came out in like the early to mid 90s, and they're already like breaking gender roles and stereotypes and just being like super accepting. And I think in the Immortals Quartet, which came out in the early 2000s, like gay rights were a thing in those, and this was well before it took place on center stage, and it just made me happy to go back and read a lot of these things and notice these things and know that even from an early age I was being exposed to good literature like that. So I picked up book 2 and book 4, which is called Song of the Lioness, and it's the last book in this quartet. Actually, it's called Lioness Rampant. I can't read. Yay! So I'm doing a video on books. I have book 3 on my handy dandy Kindle, because apparently these two weren't available in Kindle version, and I don't know why, but that's okay. We're gonna be interrupted by a cat. Ooh. She has been very clingy since I got home. We're gonna move you right here. You can stay. You just have to stay right here. Anyway, so I'm gonna read through those 3 at some point. Probably soon, because they're really fast reads. The next book, my friend and I went to Barnes & Noble because he wanted to get me a birthday present, and I got Brandon Sanderson's Way of the King, as well as Jessamine Ward's Sing Unburied Sing, which is still in my backpack. I haven't pulled that one out yet. But I have been really excited to read The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. So many people have been talking about it lately. I've heard so many wonderful things about it, and it's a fucking monster at right under 1,000 pages, and I have been living for these types of high fantasy books. Like, I read Name of the Wind and The Kingkiller Chronicles a couple months ago now, I guess. I don't remember when exactly I read them, and I love them, and I've heard these are just as good, if not better, and there are 10 books in this series, as well as like a billion other books he has written, so I am super excited. Plus it has like really gorgeous illustrations in it, and that is always a fun thing too. So this is definitely on my list of things to read, but because it's so long and since the font is like really tiny, like look at that, I figured I'll aim to read about 2 or 3 chapters of this, probably a day, and read other things at the same time, because I don't know, I might change my mind on that, but devoting all of my time and attention to this would take away from so many of the other books, no matter how much I want to read this one. So I'm going to work on this one at the same time as a bunch of other ones. Like I said, Sing Unburied, Sing by Jessamine Ward, I do have, and I am going to read this month. I just don't have it to show you right this second, because it's buried in a bag that I haven't finished unpacking yet. But that one's on the list too. Being so funny. The next book is a Stephen King novel, and I don't know how many of you know this, but I am not a huge fan of Stephen King. I've read about 3 or 4 of his books now. Haven't really enjoyed any of them. I thought Under the Dome was way too dark and depressing, and I didn't really love the first 3 books of the Gunslinger series, and I wasn't a really big fan of his one about JFK, but I'm gonna give his books another shot, because at least he does cover a lot of different topics. This one is called The Long Walk. This one basically it's a post-apocalyptic thing where a bunch of people like sign up to do this competition where they go on a walk for like endless amounts of time, and the last one standing wins, but you cannot stop walking, and there are like all sorts of terrors and horrors along the way. I like post-apocalyptic type novels. I'm trying to read more of them, even though they scare the crap out of me. And Stephen King, regardless of what my feelings are on him, is generally a very fast-paced writer, so I figured might as well give this one a try. It's the first time I've seen this at the library in a while, so I picked it up before it could vanish again. Especially since I have to get as much use out of my library over the next 3 weeks as possible, since I'm moving. Yes, we are moving. She's giving me this look like, no, we're not. The next book that I'm going to talk about is Flying Off Everest by Dave Costello. It is the true story of 2 guys who hiked up to the top of Mount Everest and then went paragliding down. They thought they were going to be the first. They were not by any means, but apparently it's supposed to be really funny and just a really fun romp. And I love reading books about Everest, and I saw this one, and it didn't seem too terribly challenging. Read the first couple of chapters while I was at the library this afternoon, and absolutely loved it. So I decided to check it out and give it a go, because I've been talking a lot about Everest lately with one of my friends, and I miss reading books about Everest, and I haven't read any non-fiction books in a while, especially, like, mountain ones in general, and I've been kind of missing it because I've been, as you can probably tell, on a huge fantasy binge, which is fine, but every once in a while you just want to read a good, solid, this actually happened type book, and so I'm going to read a good, solid, this happened type book. So I will let you know how that one works out. The next book on my list is another not quite usual book for me, and it's a romance contemporary book called Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. This one came out about 2 months ago, I think, and it's been hugely popular on BookTube and Instagram. It's about 2 people who meet in a very awkward type way and talk a lot through text and such. I've been on the fence about reading this one. I've heard good things about it, I've heard bad things about it, and I was reading the first chapter, and while I liked most of what I read, some of the main characters' tendencies did annoy me a little bit, but it read fast enough that I wanted to read more, kind of deal, if that makes sense. And I wanted to read another contemporary since I liked Save the Date so much. This is nothing like Save the Date, but I wanted to read it anyway. It seemed like an interesting concept, and I just really like the cover on it. I don't really know what it is about this cover that I love so much, but it seemed really cool. So that one is on my list. The next 4 I actually checked out about a month ago, and then renewed. I haven't gotten to them yet, and I feel really bad about that, just because I keep getting distracted by like 18 other things, all of which are books. Shh. But we'll talk about them, and hopefully by my talking about them, it will encourage me to read them. I also have some on my Kindle that I'm currently working through as well, but we'll get to that in a minute. The next book on this list is Shatter Me by Tara Mafi. I don't remember very much about this book, but I've heard really good things about it. It is the first in a 4-book series, I think. The most recent one is Restore Me. I believe this one is about a girl who is thrown in jail because it is like futuristic time period and her touch can kill people. I think that's what this one's about. The writing in it, from what I've read so far, because I did read the first chapter or so, was astoundingly good, and I really, really liked it. So, yeah, I'm gonna give this book a shot. I don't know if I'm gonna continue with the series, because I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy this book, but I'm really excited to read this one. The next book, I don't know if you all remember my obsession with Illuminati Files. But this is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. This is an adult science fiction fantasy book about a girl who's training to be an assassin in a futuristic-ish time period where there are all sorts of monsters and legends and such. This book has gotten ripped on for being way too lyrical and like way too descriptive, and I live for books like that. And for the first couple chapters, because again, this is one I have started, I just haven't finished, I fell in love with, because he is such a sarcastic writer, and I love it. And from what I've heard from the people who did enjoy this book, it does pick up about halfway through and becomes astoundingly good. So I'm gonna hopefully stick with this one, because I really like Jay Kristoff as a writer, and I do want to read more of his books, but I gotta get through a lot of other books before I'm in the mood to read this one, you know? Yeah. Okay. The next book, oh, they're actually, I said 4, right? They're actually 5. The next book is The Age of the Horse by Susanna Forrest. I don't know if I'm actually going to finish this one. I haven't started it yet, but it's about tales of horses all over the world, and it was a really interesting concept, and I was really excited when I found it in the library, because I had been looking at horse beach read type books not even an hour before, and didn't think I was going to find this one, and lo and behold, I did. But now it's huge, and the writing in it is really tiny, and I haven't started it yet, so I can't speak if the writing's any good or not. But I will get to it, hopefully. We'll see. The next book on my list is The Odyssey, translated by Emily Wilson. I have been wanting to read this since I read Circe a couple months ago, and I finally got my hands on it. I just have not started it yet. I hopefully will be starting it. I want to finish the Song of the Lioness Quartet before I really read anything else, just because I started that before I went on vacation, and then had to put it down because I didn't have book 2 in the series. And those are really fast reads, but this one is definitely up there on my list to read soon, because I have to turn this one in, I think next week, because there's somebody else who has a hold on it, so I really need to get a move on reading this, but I want to finish Song of the Lioness first. But this one, I know everybody's like, oh my god, it's a classic, it's gonna take forever. It really won't, because it's told in verse, because it's a poem, surprise! So hopefully this one won't take forever to read. And she is supposed to be a fantastic translator of Homer's original Odyssey. So I will let you know how that one turns out. And then the last book that I have checked out from the library is Special Topics in Calamity Physics by Marisha Pessel. I really enjoyed Never World Wake by her, and I have heard wonderful things about this one. It's a thriller, which I don't really tend to read a whole lot of, but I figured because I enjoyed Never World Wake so much, I would give one of her adult books a try. And I just really like the title of this one, so we're gonna go with it and see what happens. Like I said, I'm already predisposed not to like it because I don't like mysteries and thrillers, but hey, I don't like Stephen King either, and I'm giving him a try. So, I might save the Kindle books for another video, because I read, I think, 5 or 6 books while I was on my vacation, and they were all on my Kindle, so I might save that for another video. So that about does it for this video. If you liked it, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, whatever floats your boat. I am only updating once a week from here on out, so sorry about that, guys. I know we're all very, very heartbroken over that. But I have a lot of other things to do right now, and when I do put content out, I do want it to be really good and stuff that I like. So, because I've found that if I like something a lot, you guys tend to like it a lot better too. So that is the reasoning behind that. That, and I do really have a shit ton of things to do. It all feels a lot realer now that we're a month out than it did like even 2 weeks ago. So, wish me luck on that. But I do plan on keeping up with all of these, so stay tuned. In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you shortly.